Admiral Hyunwoo Park stood at the huge window of his command center. The water outside was dark blue, almost black. He was 8 kilometers below the surface of the Pacific Ocean. No human on the surface knew this place existed. Through the thick glass, he could see them. Thousands of ships moved slowly through the water like sleeping whales. But these were not whales. These ships were alive in their own way. Their skin glowed with soft blue light as they floated through the massive underwater caves. Commander Sojin Lee walked up behind him. Her face was serious. She carried a tablet with bad news from the world above. "Sir, the aliens have given us their final answer," she said. "Join their galactic council as a protected species, or they will attack Earth." Hyunwoo did not turn around. He kept watching the ships outside. Each one was longer than 3 football fields. Their skin moved like it was breathing. "What does the surface military say?" he asked. "They want to surrender. They think we have no choice. President Morrison is playing his part well. He looks scared and weak in the meetings with the aliens." Hyunwoo smiled a little. President Morrison was one of only 12 people on the surface who knew about the Deep Fleet. The aliens thought humans were stupid and weak. That was exactly what they wanted the aliens to think. "How long has it been, Sojin?" Hyunwoo asked. "Since Captain Tae-hyun Kim found that crashed ship?" 178 years, sir." Hyunwoo finally turned around. His dark eyes were hard like stone. "Tell me the story again." Sojin knew he did not really need to hear it, but telling the story helped them remember why they were here. In 1847, Captain Tae-hyun Kim was hunting whales near what we now call the Japan Trench. His ship found something strange floating in the water. It was made of metal, but the metal was like nothing they had seen before. It changed colors in the light. She looked at her tablet, then continued. Inside the strange craft, they found a dying alien. It was small and gray with big black eyes. Captain Kim and his crew took care of it. They gave it water and tried to help it. And what did the alien tell them before it died? It said the galaxy was dangerous. It said strong species rule over weak ones. It said humans seemed kind, but that would not save them. Other aliens would come someday. The dying alien gave Captain Kim a gift. It shared its knowledge of how to build ships that could live and grow like animals. Hyunwoo walked to a different window. This one looked down into the deepest part of the base. Far below, he could see the original ship. It was much bigger now than when Captain Kim first found it. Over the years, human scientists had learned to grow new ships from pieces of the old one. Dr. Yoonmi Choi entered the room. She was the head of the Deep Fleet Science Division. Her white coat was covered with strange stains that glowed softly in the dark. "Admiral, the ships are getting restless," she said. "They can sense that something is happening on the surface. The new recruits are ready for their first bonding ceremony." Hyunwoo nodded. The bonding ceremony was how humans connected with the bio-ships. A person would put their hand on the ship's skin. The ship would send tiny threads into the person's nervous system. After that, human and ship could share thoughts and feelings. "How many ships do we have now?" he asked. "Just over 1 million active vessels," Dr. Choi said. "Another 300,000 are still growing in the deep trenches. The ships in the Mariana base just gave birth to 50 new scouts last week." Commander Lee looked surprised. Even though she worked here, the numbers were hard to believe. "How did we hide so many ships for so long?" Dr. Choi smiled. "The ocean is bigger than people think. We built our bases in places no human had ever gone, the deepest trenches, underwater mountains, caves that go down for kilometers. The aliens who visit Earth never look in the water. They think it is empty space." "What about the people who work here?" Lee asked. "There must be millions of them." 2,300,000 people work for the Deep Fleet," Hyunwoo said. "Their families think they work for deep-sea mining companies or underwater research stations. We have fake companies all over the world. We recruit people who love the ocean and who can keep secrets." He walked back to the main window. Outside, more ships were waking up. Their lights were getting brighter. "The aliens think we are simple surface dwellers," he said. "They have watched us for 50 years. They see our primitive rockets and metal ships. They think we can barely leave our own planet." Dr. Choi checked her tablet. "The latest intelligence reports show they have 50,000 ships gathering near Jupiter. They plan to attack our major cities first, then land troops to take over the government. Perfect, Hyun-woo said. This surprised both women. Sir? Commander Lee asked. Don't you see? They are bringing their entire fleet close to Earth. They want to make a show of power. They want other species in the galaxy to see how easily they can defeat humans. He touched the window. The glass was cold against his palm. But they don't know what humans are really like. On the surface, we look weak. We fight each other. We pollute our planet. We seem like children playing with toys. His voice got quieter. But humans have always been best when we are underwater. We learned to swim before we learned to fly. We explored the deepest parts of our world before we reached for the stars. The ocean is our first home. Dr. Choi understood first. You want them to come close. I want them to think they have already won, Hyun-woo said. Let them bring every ship they have. Let them get confident and sloppy. When they attack our cities, we will let them think they are winning. And then? Lee asked. Hyun-woo smiled. It was not a nice smile. Then they will learn what lives in the deep places of the world. They will learn that humans are not the surface species they think we are. We are deep ocean predators. We have been waiting in the dark for almost 200 years. He turned to face both women. Send the signal to all bases. Wake up every ship. It is time the galaxy learned what human beings really are. Outside the window, 1,000,000 bioships began to glow brighter. In the deepest parts of Earth's oceans, something ancient and patient was finally ready to rise. 3 months had passed since the aliens gave their ultimatum. Captain Do-hyun Jang floated in the darkness near the edge of the solar system. His bioship, Leviathan's Whisper, was completely invisible to alien sensors. Its skin had changed to match the empty space around them perfectly. Do-hyun could feel his ship's excitement through their neural link. Leviathan's Whisper had been born in the deepest trench on Earth. It had never seen the stars before this mission. Now it was like a child seeing snow for the first time. Easy, girl, Do-hyun whispered. We are just here to watch and listen. Through his ship's senses, he could see the alien fleet. There were 50,000 ships arranged in perfect formation. They looked like metal spears pointed at Earth. The smallest ones were twice as big as anything humans had ever built on the surface. The largest ones were like floating cities. Do-hyun activated his recording systems. Admiral Hyun-woo needed to know everything about the enemy fleet. The bioship extended tiny sensor tendrils that looked like seagrass floating in the water. But here in space, they could hear alien radio signals from thousands of kilometers away. The alien conversations made Do-hyun angry. They talked about humans like humans talked about insects. The reptilian creatures called Vextar were the worst. Their leader, High Admiral Korthak, kept making jokes about how easy it would be to conquer Earth. The surface dwellers still use chemical rockets, one Vextar said. My children have toys more advanced than their best weapons. Why did we even give them 3 months to surrender? Another asked. The Council wants other species to see we are fair, Korthak replied. When we destroy their cities, no one can say we did not give them a chance. The crystalline aliens called the Salon Collective were quieter, but just as cruel. They spoke through harmonic vibrations that sounded like singing, but their songs were about dividing up Earth's resources after the humans were gone. Do-hyun recorded everything. His ship's biological memory systems stored not just the words, but the emotions behind them. The aliens were completely confident. They had no doubt they would win easily. Back on Earth, deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, Lieutenant Na Yeon-seo was watching something amazing happen. She stood in the Central Awakening Chamber, a vast cave that had been carved from the ocean floor, over many decades. All around her, bioships were waking up from their long sleep. These ships had been dormant for years, waiting for this moment. Their bioluminescent hearts began to pulse with soft light. It started as tiny sparks, then grew brighter and brighter until the entire chamber glowed like an underwater star. Section 7 is fully active, reported technician Bong Soo Kim. All 2,000 ships are responding to wake-up signals. Nayeon checked her tablet. What about the deep growers in the Mariana Trench? They are stirring too. Dr. Choi says some of the largest ones have been asleep for 50 years. They are going to be confused when they wake up. Nayeon nodded. The oldest bioships were like ancient whales. They moved slowly and thought deeply. But they were also the most powerful. Some of them were so big they could swallow entire alien destroyers. Above them, far above on the surface of the ocean, President James Morrison sat in his office in Washington. He looked tired and scared for the cameras, but inside he felt excited. He was one of the few surface dwellers who knew the truth about the deep fleet. His phone rang. It was the alien ambassador, a tall gray creature with big black eyes and a voice like breaking glass. "President Morrison," the alien said, "the Council's patience is ending. You have 1 week to give your final answer." Morrison made his voice shake like he was afraid. "Please, we need more time. Our people are scared. They don't understand why you want to rule over us." "We do not want to rule you," the alien lied smoothly. "We want to protect you from the dangers of the galaxy. There are evil species out there who would destroy your world. Only under our protection can humanity survive." Morrison pretended to think about this. "What if we say no? Then we will have to use defensive measures to protect the innocent people of your world from your poor leadership." After the alien hung up, Morrison smiled for the first time in weeks. He sent a coded message to Admiral Hyun-woo. "They are taking the bait." Dr. Yoonmi Choi was in her laboratory, studying something that worried her. She had been analyzing alien technology that the Deep Fleet had secretly collected over the years. Pieces from crashed ships, fragments from space battles, even whole alien devices that had been lost and found by human deep-sea explorers. What she found made her stomach feel cold. The aliens were not just conquerors, they were gardeners. They carefully managed which species were allowed to grow and become powerful. Any species that showed signs of becoming too advanced was either absorbed into the Galactic Council or destroyed. "Commander Lee," she said into her communicator, "please come to Lab 7 immediately." When So-Jin Lee arrived, Dr. Choi showed her a holographic display of the galaxy. Hundreds of stars were marked with different colors. The red marks show species that were destroyed by the Galactic Council, Dr. Choi explained. The yellow marks show species that were forced to join as protected members. The green marks show the few species that are full council members. Lee stared at the display. There were thousands of red marks, but only 12 green ones. "How long have they been doing this?" Lee asked. "For over 10,000 years. They find species just when they are about to become spacefaring civilizations. Then they either recruit them or eliminate them. No species is allowed to develop independently." "But why?" Dr. Choi pointed to the green marks. "These 12 species control everything. They share technology only with each other. They keep all other species weak and dependent." Lee felt angry. "And they marked Earth for management when we split the atom? Earlier than that, they have been watching us since we invented the steam engine. They let us develop just enough to be useful, but not enough to be dangerous. Except they don't know about the Deep Fleet." "Exactly. They think they know everything about human civilization. But we hid our real development 8 kilometers underwater." Dr. Choi switched off the hologram. "Commander, we are not just fighting for Earth's freedom. If we lose, humanity will never be allowed to reach its potential. We will be kept as children, forever. And if we win, then we break a system that has enslaved thousands of species for thousands of years." High above them, Captain Do-hyun was still watching the alien fleet. He had been there for 6 hours now. Leviathan's whisper was getting restless. The bioship wanted to attack. Do-hyun could feel its desire to hunt flowing through their neural connection. "I know, girl," he whispered. "Soon." Then he heard something that made his blood freeze. High Admiral Korthak was giving orders to begin the attack. "All ships, prepare for orbital bombardment. Target their major population centers first. I want the human government to surrender before we lose a single ship." Do-hyun immediately sent an emergency signal to Admiral Hyun-woo. The message was simple: they are coming. Far below in the deep ocean, Admiral Hyun-woo received the signal. He stood up from his command chair and looked out at his fleet. 1,000,000 bioships floated in the darkness, their lights pulsing like heartbeats. "All stations," he said into his communicator. "This is Admiral Park. The enemy is moving into attack position. Begin final ascent preparations." All through the deep bases, alarms began to sound. Not loud, harsh alarms like human ships used, but soft harmonic tones that the bioships could understand. It was time. The attack began at sunrise over New York City. Beams of white light fell from the sky like deadly rain. Buildings exploded into clouds of dust and flame. The alien orbital platforms high above Earth fired their weapons with cold precision. Admiral Hyunwoo watched the destruction on his screens deep beneath the Pacific Ocean. Each exploding building represented hundreds of human lives lost. But this sacrifice was necessary. The aliens had to believe they were winning. Surface military is responding as planned, reported Commander So Jin Lee. They are putting up just enough resistance to look real, then retreating. The plan was working perfectly. Human fighter jets screamed through the sky, firing missiles that barely scratched the alien ships. Human tanks rolled through burning streets, shooting at targets they could never hope to hurt. To the aliens watching from space, it looked exactly like what they expected. A primitive species fighting desperately with inadequate weapons. "Give the order," Admiral Hyunwoo said quietly. Commander Lee activated the fleet-wide communication system. Her voice carried through the water to every base, every ship, every pilot waiting in the darkness. "All call signs, all depths. This is Deep Command. Execute Operation Rising Tide. All units, ascend." 8 kilometers below the surface, Commander Woo Jin Han felt his bioship respond to the order. The massive vessel called Abyssal Crown had been grown from pieces of the original alien scout ship that Captain Kim found in 1847. It was the oldest and largest ship in the fleet, over 2 kilometers long and half a kilometer wide. Woo Jin's neural connection with Abyssal Crown was deeper than most pilot-ship bonds. They had been together for 15 years. He could feel the ship's excitement as it began to rise. The bioship had been dreaming of this moment for decades. Around them, the ocean came alive. Millions of bioships began moving upward through the dark water. Their bioluminescent patterns created a light show more beautiful than any aurora. But this beauty had a deadly purpose. The alien fleet orbiting Earth detected the massive sonar disturbance, but they were not worried. High Admiral Korthak looked at the readings and laughed. "Seismic activity from our bombardment," he told his officers. "We are shaking their planet apart." The other alien commanders agreed. They had seen many worlds surrender. First came the earthquakes and tsunamis caused by orbital bombardment. Then came the desperate final attacks by the dying civilization. Finally came the surrender. But pilot Su Young Kang knew better. She was rising through 6 kilometers of water in her bioship Midnight Tide. The ship was small compared to the massive dreadnoughts, but it was fast and deadly. Su Young had trained for this moment her entire adult life. Through her neural link, she could feel Midnight Tide's predatory instincts awakening. The bioship had been created from the genes of deep sea hunters, creatures that lived in the darkest, parts of the ocean where only the strongest survived. "Easy, girl," Su Young whispered. "Save your hunger for the enemy." 3 kilometers below the surface now, the water was getting lighter. Su Young could feel the sun far above them. Midnight Tide had never seen sunlight before. The ship was curious and excited. 2 kilometers, the bioship's skin began to change color, preparing for combat. What had been deep ocean camouflage was becoming something else. Something that would make the aliens afraid. 1 kilometer. Su Young could see other bioships rising all around her. There were thousands of them in just this small section of ocean. Across all of Earth's oceans, 1 million. Ships were ascending like a swarm of luminous jellyfish, 500 meters. The alien orbital platforms were directly above them now. Su Young could hear their radio chatter through Midnight Tide's sensors. They were still talking about how easily they were conquering the primitive humans. 100 meters, 50 meters. The surface. Midnight Tide burst through the waves like a dolphin jumping for joy. But this dolphin was 200 meters long and covered in bioluminescent war patterns. Its skin rippled with colors that had no names. All around the Earth, the same thing was happening. In the Pacific, the Atlantic, the Indian Ocean, even the Arctic waters, bioships were breaking the surface. They rose into the air on columns of superheated water, their living hulls gleaming in the sunlight. High Admiral Korthak stopped laughing. On his command screen, new contacts were appearing. Thousands of them, then tens of thousands, then hundreds of thousands. "What is this?" he screamed at his sensor officers. "Where did these ships come from?" "Unknown, sir," one terrified officer replied. They just appeared from beneath the water. The energy readings are impossible. The bioships did not look like anything the aliens had ever seen. They were not built from metal and circuits. They were grown from living tissue and bone. Their hulls moved like skin. Their weapons glowed like deep-sea creatures. Su Yung felt midnight tide's joy as they streaked toward the alien fleet. The bioship had waited its entire life for this hunt. Now its time had come. The first alien ship they encountered was a Vextar destroyer, 5 times larger than Midnight Tide. Its captain fired everything he had at the approaching bioship. Plasma bolts, particle beams, fusion missiles, all of them struck the bioship's hull. None of them did any damage. The bioship's living armor absorbed the energy attacks and grew stronger. The kinetic weapons bounced off like raindrops. Midnight Tide's hull actually healed faster than the weapons could hurt it. Impossible, the alien captain whispered. Then Midnight Tide fired back. Its weapons were not like alien technology. They were more like the stingers of deep-sea creatures, living projectiles that burrowed into the enemy ship's hull and began consuming it from the inside. The alien destroyer died screaming as biomechanical parasites ate through its corridors. Its crew ran in terror as the walls around them dissolved into organic soup. All across the battle zone, the same scene was repeated millions of times. Alien ships that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years were being hunted by creatures they did not understand. Commander Wu Jin Han, in the flagship Abyssal Crown, was coordinating the larger assault. The massive bio-dreadnought was so large that smaller alien ships crashed into it by accident, thinking it was an asteroid. When they realized their mistake, it was too late. Abyssal Crown's hull would open like a mouth and swallow them whole. "Sir," reported Lieutenant Heiwan Yu from her scout ship. "The enemy is trying to retreat to hyperspace." Wu Jin smiled. The aliens had never fought bioships before. They did not know the rules of this kind of warfare. "Let them try," he said. When the alien ships activated their hyperspace drives, they found that biomechanical parasites had already infected their navigation systems. Instead of jumping to safety, they jumped deeper into the solar system, right into the middle of more bioship squadrons. The alien fleet's perfect formation collapsed into chaos. Ships crashed into each other as they tried to escape the strange new enemy. Commanders screamed contradictory orders. Some ships tried to run while others tried to fight. High Admiral Korthak realized he was losing. In 1 hour of combat, he had lost more ships than in the previous 100 years of galactic conquest. These were not the primitive humans he had expected to fight. These were apex predators from a world he did not understand. "Send a distress signal to the core worlds," he ordered. Tell them we have encountered a Class 5 threat." A Class 5 threat was the highest level of danger in the Galactic Council's system. It meant a species that could threaten the entire galactic order. "Sir, should we continue the attack?" asked his tactical officer. Korthak looked at his screens. Half his fleet was already gone, consumed by creatures that seemed to feed on starship metal. The other half was scattered across the solar system, running from an enemy they could not fight with conventional weapons. "No," he said quietly. "Signal general retreat. We need to regroup and warn the Council what we have found here." But it was too late for retreat. The bioships were faster than anything the aliens had ever seen. They moved through space like fish through water, using abilities that seemed to break the laws of physics. Admiral Hyunwoo watched the battle from his deep command center. The aliens were learning the same lesson that Earth's ancient sailors had learned long ago. When you enter the deep ocean, you are no longer the apex predator. You are food for creatures that have evolved to be perfect killers in an environment that shows no mercy. "Sir," Commander Lee reported, "we are receiving surrender offers from 17 alien ship captains." "Accept them all," Hyunwoo replied, "but keep them under close guard. We need to learn everything we can about the Galactic Council." He looked out at his bioships moving through the dark water. They had won their first battle against the galaxy's greatest powers, but this was just the beginning. Soon, other alien species would come to Earth. Older species, stronger species. Humanity would be ready for them too. The battle raged for 3 days and nights. Captain Minho Park led his hunter squadron through the wreckage of alien ships that floated dead in space. He was Admiral Hyunwoo's son, but he had earned his rank through skill, not family connections. His bioship, Deep Hunter, moved between the broken alien vessels like a shark swimming through a school of fish. The ship's sensors searched for survivors and intelligence data, but mostly Deep Hunter was enjoying the hunt. "Contact ahead," reported Lieutenant Sang-Woo Oh from his scout ship. "Looks like a Celan command vessel trying to hide behind that asteroid." Min-ho felt Deep Hunter's excitement through their neural link. The crystalline ships of the Celan Collective were considered the most advanced in the galaxy. Their hulls were made from living crystal that could repair itself and adapt to any weapon. "Take us in slow," Min-ho told his ship. "Let's see what this crystal can do against deep ocean biotech." The Celan ship detected them coming and opened fire. Beams of pure energy lanced out from crystal formations along its hull. The weapons were beautiful and deadly, like colored lightning frozen in space. Deep Hunter's skin changed as the energy weapons hit it. What had been dark blue scales became something that looked like mirror glass. The alien weapons reflected, back at the crystal ship, which barely managed to absorb its own fire. "Interesting," Min-ho said. "Our turn." Deep Hunter's weapons were not energy beams or missiles. They were living creatures the size of small submarines. Biomechanical hunters that could think and adapt on their own. Min-ho released a pack of 6 hunter spawns and watched them streak toward the crystal ship. The Celan vessel tried to destroy the approaching spawns with defensive fire. It managed to hit 3 of them, but the other 3 reached the crystal hull and began to burrow inside like insects eating wood. Within minutes, the crystal ship's perfect surface was covered with spreading cracks. The spawns were not just eating the hull material. They were learning how to make their own crystal armor from the alien technology. "Sir," reported Deep Hunter through their neural link, "the spawns have discovered something important." Min-ho felt his ship's excitement. "Show me." Through the bioship's senses, Min-ho could see what the spawns had found inside the crystal ship. The Celan were not just one species. They were dozens of species that had been absorbed and converted into living crystal over thousands of years. "My God," he whispered. "They're not conquerors. They're parasites." Commander Ji-Hai Song was having her own revelation on the other side of the battle zone. Her bioship, Phantom Current, had just demonstrated an ability that shocked even her. When a group of Vextar ships surrounded them, Phantom Current had simply faded out of normal space. For 10 seconds, they existed in some other dimension, where the alien weapons could not touch them. Ji-Hai could see the enemy ships, but they looked like ghosts made of light. When Phantom Current returned to normal space, they were behind the alien formation. "How did we do that?" Ji-Hai asked her ship. The bioship's response came as feelings and images rather than words. Phantom Current had been grown in the deepest part of the Mariana Trench, where the pressure was so intense that reality itself became flexible. The ship had learned to slip between dimensions the same way deep-sea creatures slipped between different pressure zones. "Can you teach the other ships?" Ji-Hai asked. Phantom Current's response was like a smile made of bioluminescent patterns along its hull. The ship began broadcasting its new ability through the biofleet's collective network. Within hours, other, deep trench ships were learning to phase in and out of normal space. Back in the Deep Command Center, Dr. Yoon-Mi Choi was studying data from the battle. What she saw made her both excited and worried. "Admiral, the bioships are evolving faster than we predicted," she reported to Hyun-woo. "They're not just using our original designs anymore, they're creating new abilities by combining human biotech with captured alien technology." "Is that dangerous?" Admiral Hyun-woo asked. "I don't know. The ships are still loyal to their human pilots, but they're becoming something we never intended to create." She showed him a holographic display of Deep Hunter's latest spawn creatures. They looked nothing like the original biomechanical hunters. Instead, they had crystal formations growing from their bodies like the Celan ships they had consumed. The spawns are now part crystal, part biotech, part human technology. They're evolving in real time during combat. Admiral Hyun-woo studied the display. "Are they still under our control?" "Yes, but barely. The bioships are starting to make decisions on their own. They're learning tactics we never taught them." As if to prove her point, an alert came in from the battle zone. Lieutenant Hae-won-yu had successfully captured an intact Cylon crystal ship, but she had done it using a method that no human had ever thought of. Sir, you need to see this, Commander Lee said, activating the main display. The screen showed Haywan's bioship, Crystal Seeker, wrapped around the alien vessel like an octopus holding a crab. But instead of crushing the crystal ship, Crystal Seeker was somehow communicating with it. Lieutenant Yu, report, Admiral Hyunwoo ordered. Haywan's voice came through the communication system, but she sounded different. Distant. Sir, my ship has made contact with the alien vessel's consciousness. The crystal ships are not just technology. They're living beings that have been enslaved by the Ceylon Collective. Enslaved? The crystals are prisoners, sir. They've been forced to serve the Collective for thousands of years. My ship is trying to free them. Dr. Choi looked worried. Admiral, this is beyond our original mission parameters. The bioships are making diplomatic decisions on their own. But Admiral Hyunwoo was thinking about something else. Lieutenant Yu, ask the crystal ship how many other enslaved species exist in the Galactic Council. There was a long pause. When? Hai-Wan answered. Her voice was sad. Thousands, sir. The entire Galactic Council is built on slavery. Every species they've conquered has been either destroyed or converted into living weapons. And now our bioships want to free them? Yes. Sir, Crystal Seeker says it's not just about defending Earth anymore. It's about liberating the entire galaxy. Admiral Hyunwoo looked out at his fleet of bioships. They were no longer just Earth's defensive force. They were becoming something much more significant. Something that could challenge the entire galactic. Order! Dr. Choi, how many alien ships have our forces captured intact? 47 so far, sir. The bioships seem to prefer capturing to destroying when possible. And how many of those ships contained enslaved consciousness? According to preliminary reports, all of them. Admiral Hyunwoo was quiet for a long time. Finally, he made a decision that would change everything. Send a message to all bioship pilots, he ordered. Tell them their mission has expanded. We're not just defending Earth. We're liberating every enslaved species we can find. Commander Lee looked concerned. Sir, that's essentially declaring war on the entire Galactic Council. No, Admiral Hyunwoo replied. That's declaring war on 10,000 years of slavery and oppression. High above them, in the ruins of the alien fleet, something incredible was happening. The captured crystal ships were sharing their knowledge with the bioships. Information about other enslaved species, hidden rebel groups, and the true weakness of the Galactic Council. The bioships absorbed this knowledge eagerly. They were learning that Earth was not the only world that had hidden its true strength. There were other species that had been secretly preparing for rebellion. Other worlds where enslaved beings dreamed of freedom. Captain Min-ho received new orders from his father. Instead of returning to Earth, Deep Hunter would lead an expedition to the core worlds. Their mission was to find other rebel species and offer them human biotechnology. Are you ready for a longer hunt? He asked his bioship. Deep Hunter's response was a surge of predatory joy through their neural link. The ship had tasted alien technology and found it delicious. It wanted to hunt the biggest predators in the galaxy. Then let's go teach the core worlds what happens when Earth's deep ocean hunters come calling. As Min-ho's squadron departed for the galactic core, Admiral Hyunwoo realized that humanity had passed a point of no return. They were no longer a hidden species protecting their home world. They had become the galaxy's apex predators, and every enslaved species in the galaxy was about to learn that Earth's children were coming to set them free. The deep fleet had risen from the ocean depths. Now it was time to dive into the deep. Spaces between stars and hunt the ancient powers that had ruled through fear for far too long. 6 months after the deep fleet revealed itself, the galaxy was a different place. Commodore Sung-Hwan Lim stood on the bridge of his bioship, Freedom's Current, as it approached the liberated world of Kethmora. This had once been a slave, planet controlled by the Vextar Empire. Now, it was free. The planet's surface was covered with celebration lights. Millions of beings who had been slaves for generations were experiencing freedom for the first time. They had human biotechnology to thank for their liberation. Sir, we're receiving grateful messages from the surface, reported Lieutenant Dalsu Park. They want to know how they can help other enslaved worlds. Sung-Hwan smiled. This was happening across the galaxy. Species that had been crushed under alien rule were rising up with human help. The bioships had shared their technology freely, teaching other beings how to grow their own living vessels. "Tell them to start building," Xionghuan said. "Every free world becomes a base for liberating more worlds." Back on Earth, the planet's oceans had become something unrecognizable. Admiral Hyunwoo, now promoted to Fleet Admiral of the Deep, watched from his expanded command center as new bioships were born in the deepest trenches. But these were not the same bioships that had first risen from the ocean depths. These new vessels were larger, more complex, and seemed to possess a form of intelligence that made even their human pilots nervous. Dr. Yunmi Choi approached with her latest report. Her white coat was now covered with bioluminescent patches that glowed softly in the dark. She had been working so closely with the bioships that her own biology was starting to change. "Admiral, the new generation ships are exhibiting collective consciousness behaviors," she said. "They're not just sharing information anymore. They're sharing thoughts and emotions across the entire fleet." "Is that dangerous?" Hyunwoo asked. "Don't think so. But they're becoming something we never planned to create. They're not just human tools anymore, they're partners in the truest sense." She activated a holographic display showing the deep ocean. Far below, in trenches that went down for kilometers, massive bioships were growing. Some of them were so large they could house entire cities inside their living hulls. "The ships are preparing for something," Dr. Choi continued. "They're building vessels designed for very long journeys, ships that can survive in the empty spaces between galaxies." Admiral Hyunwoo understood. "They want to spread beyond our galaxy." "Yes. They've learned from the liberated alien species that there are other galaxies where similar empires exist. The bioships want to free them all." In orbit around Earth, former High Admiral Korthak sat in his comfortable prison cell. He had been captured during the first battle and had since become an advisor to the human fleet. Not by choice, but because he realized cooperation was his only chance of survival. A human guard approached his cell. It was Captain Yonseo Bayek, one of the new generation of pilots whose consciousness could span multiple bioships simultaneously. "The Admiral wants to speak with you," she said. Korthak noticed something different about her. Her eyes glowed faintly with bioluminescent patterns. She was no longer entirely human. "What has happened to your species?" he asked as they walked through the ship's corridors. "We're evolving," Yonseo replied simply. "The bioships are teaching us things about consciousness and biology that we never imagined possible." "Are you still human?" She considered this question. "We're becoming something more than human, something that can survive in the deep spaces between stars." They reached Admiral Hyunwoo's office. The fleet admiral looked older than when Korthak had first met him, but also somehow more powerful. There was a presence about him that made the alien nervous. "Korthak," Hyunwoo said without looking up from his reports. "Tell me about the core worlds. What do you want to know? How long before they send their ancient fleets to Earth?" Korthak was quiet for a moment. "The core worlds are ruled by species that are millions of years old. They have weapons that can destroy entire star systems. When they learn what has happened here, they will come with everything they have." "Good," Hyunwoo said, finally looking at the alien. "We're ready for them." "You don't understand. These are not the same forces you defeated at Earth. The core species have had millions of years to perfect their technology. They can manipulate time itself." Hyunwoo smiled. "And we can manipulate reality itself. Our bioships have learned abilities that your core species never dreamed of." As if to prove his point, the ship around them suddenly shifted. The walls became transparent, showing the vast bio-fleet floating in space around Earth. But these were not the same million ships that had first risen from the oceans. Now there were billions of bioships. Some were tiny scouts, no larger than dolphins. Others were massive world ships that could house entire populations. And in the deepest space, barely visible even to enhanced sensors, were the largest bioships of all. Creatures so vast they defied measurement. "My God," Korthak whispered. "How many ships do you have now?" "We stopped counting," Hyunwoo replied. "The bioships reproduce on their own now. Every battle teaches them new abilities. Every liberated world gives them new friends." Captain Yonseo spoke up. "Admiral, the deep explorers are ready to depart." "Deep explorers?" Korthak asked. Bioships designed for the deepest spaces, Yonseo explained. The voids between galaxies where reality becomes thin. They're going to find other enslaved galaxies and begin liberation operations. Korthak realized the true scope of what was happening. You're not just freeing this galaxy. You want to free the entire universe. Every enslaved being on every world in every galaxy, Admiral Hyunwoo confirmed. That's what the bioships have decided, and we agree with them. Outside the ship, one of the Deep Explorer vessels was preparing to depart. It was Captain Minho Park, now promoted to Exploration Commander. His bioship had grown to enormous size over the past months, incorporating technology from dozens of liberated species. The ship no longer looked entirely like Earth biotechnology. It had crystal formations from freed Cylon beings, metal components from liberated machine species, and energy patterns from rescued energy beings. It was becoming something entirely new. Ready for departure, Deep Wanderer? Minho asked his ship. The bioship's response came not in words or feelings, but in pure understanding. Deep Wanderer was ready to hunt in the deepest spaces of the universe. It would carry human consciousness and biotechnology to galaxies that had never known freedom. Other Deep Explorer ships were launching as well. Captain Do-hyun and Leviathan's Whisper headed toward the Andromeda Galaxy. Commander Ji-hai and Phantom Current chose a more distant target, a galaxy where ancient machine intelligences had enslaved all biological life. Each ship carried within its living hull the seeds of liberation, biotechnology that could adapt to any environment and overcome any form of oppression. Dr. Eunmi Choi watched the departures from her laboratory. She was no longer entirely human either. Her consciousness was partially merged with the bioship collective. She could feel the thoughts and dreams of billions of living vessels. "What do you see out there?" Admiral Hyunwoo asked, joining her at the observation window. "Life," she replied. "In places where others see only empty space, the bioships see potential for new forms of existence. They're not just going to liberate enslaved species, they're going to create entirely new forms of life in the deep voids. And humanity? We're becoming the gardeners of the infinite deep. Just like Earth's oceans taught us that life finds a way in the darkest places, now we're carrying that lesson to the stars. Far below them, in the deepest trenches of Earth's oceans, something unprecedented was happening. The oldest bioships, the ones grown from the original alien scout ship, were giving birth to a new generation of vessels. But these were not ships designed for war or exploration. These were the deep dreamers, bioships whose purpose was not to fight or explore, but to think and dream and imagine new possibilities for life itself. They would remain in Earth's deepest waters, dreaming of futures that had never existed before. Admiral Hyunwoo felt a presence in his mind. It was the collective consciousness of the biofleet speaking to him directly for the first time. "Thank you," the vast intelligence said without words. "You showed us that intelligence and compassion could exist together. Now we will show the universe what is possible when life is truly free." "What happens to humanity now?" Hyunwoo asked. "You pay. Become what you always were," the biofleet replied. "Explorers of the deep places, guardians of life in all its forms. The first species to understand that true strength comes not from conquest, but from nurturing the potential in others." As the last of the Deep Explorer ships vanished into the cosmic void, Hyunwoo realized that humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning. They had hidden in Earth's oceans for 2 centuries, learning to become perfect predators in the dark depths. Now they would hunt in the deepest spaces of the universe, not for prey, but for enslaved beings who needed to learn that freedom was possible. The galaxy would never be the same, and neither would the universe beyond. In the depths of Earth's oceans, the deep dreamers began their eternal contemplation of what wonders life could create when it was truly free to grow. Their thoughts would shape the future of consciousness itself, ensuring